Hello, my name is Beta. Today, I will be sharing a little bit about the Burnout book that I had read and has changed my life, and specifically the stress response cycle and what I've learned and how it's kind of impacted the way that I show up in the world and my health, my well-being, my vitality, all of it. So to begin with, the book is actually written by an author named Emily Nagoski. And so she's actually a sex researcher who wrote this first book, Come As You Are, around female pleasure and how there are a multitude of reasons why women are really not able to experience pleasure in their lives for many different reasons. But one of the chapters talked about stress and specifically this concept of the stress response cycle. And there was such a strong response to that one chapter that she then was able to write the second book about burnout and the secret to unlocking that stress response cycle with her sister. And so what I'm going to share today is mainly based on what I learned from her book, and then also what I've kind of done since then for myself. And it seemed to resonate pretty deeply with a lot of people, whether you're male or female. This is something really important to know and understand how we operate as humans and as mammals in the world. So as mammals, speaking of which, we have something called our autonomic nervous system. I'm going to do my best here, but obviously I am not a physician. I'm just talking about something that I've read about here. But your autonomic nervous system, to my understanding, it's automatic. It's things that you don't think about. You don't think about digestion in your body. You don't think about consciously breathing or blinking. These things just happen, or growing your nails or your hair. It just happens in your body, right? And so along with a lot of the different functions that your autonomic nervous system serves for you, there are two branches to it. So one being the parasympathetic nervous system here on the left, which is kind of like that brake or the parachute that you have. So that's where you are restoring a state of calm in your body. Your body gets to acclimate to day-to-day life, rest, digest that food, all that good stuff. And then on the right-hand side, we have the other branch of the nervous system, which is the sympathetic, which is a gas pedal. That's what's activating you to respond to things. Let's go, let's activate, and particularly your fight or flight mechanism or your stress response. And so this is my version of just imagining the stress response cycle, primarily because there are three different parts. So there is a perceived threat or stressor at the beginning. And the example that she had given in the book was that of a gazelle in the wild, or even back in the day when cavemen would go hunt for food, right? They would come across a threat, in this case, a lion. And your autonomic nervous system, again, automatically, instantaneously, within nanoseconds, is calculating, can I outfight this lion or perceived threat and get back to safety, which is the ultimate goal of the stress response cycle, is how do we get home? How do we get to safety? Can I outflight it? Can I outrun this thing? And if not, the freeze response, to my understanding, and what really changed my life as a result of just understanding the way that my body and my nervous system had been working for so long, is freeze. So freeze is left for like near death experience. You ain't gonna make it out of here, so let's just play dead. Now, whether play dead makes that death a little bit less painful, or if freeze or playing dead maybe makes that lion, go elsewhere or get its cubs or something, and you got some time to escape, one of these happens. I know there are a lot of folks that also talk about the fawn response. I'm not very familiar with it. These three kind of are the big ones that I'm going to kind of focus on for today. Obviously, do your research if you want to learn about fawn or the fawn response as well. But what blew my mind in that was, our bodies are automatically aware of whether or not whatever's in front of us is something that we can overcome, whether by fighting it and getting to that safety, running away, or flighting it and getting to that safety, or just straight getting stuck and frozen. And as a result of reading this book, I had heard about fight or flight. I kind of had heard about freeze every now and then, but the way that she described it made me realize I definitely had symptoms of freeze. And so the reason I share that is because then I got to a place where, in trying to understand what's happening in my body a little bit better, the way that it's broken down is, again, that perceived threat is telling your body, hey, I'm at risk. Something is not okay. And so, whether we realize it or not, our autonomic nervous system is activating in preparation for survival. Our body is getting in gear for action. And so then that action happens. And again, our body is making that split second decision. And typically what's happening if you need to take action is your body's like, all right, we can shut down. We don't need to process food right now. We need to survive. We don't need to reproduce right now. So forget libido, forget whatever, chemical reactions that need to happen to make babies. We got to survive this before we can think about that. And so all of that adrenaline and cortisol and all of the chemicals and the hormones that are needed for your body to operate at optimum, right? And then this is where the example of people who lift cars to save their kids from dying or whatever, like this is like Herculean chemical buildup that happens in you, right? And it's happening purely for survival. And that action or that response is not supposed to last very long. And so that action happens. And then we get to this place of safety, hopefully. So the completion of the stress response cycle is, I'm safe. The threat is gone. My nervous system can come back down. I can now tap back into parasympathetic nervous system instead of the sympathetic gas pedal. I can pump the brakes a little bit, parachute down. I'm surrounded by love and gratitude. And I really liked, this particular example of that, because to me, I think of that caveman, so to speak, or even the gazelle. I think that she gives an example in the book, getting back to that village or that community or that sense of safety and the hug and the loves of, oh my gosh, I'm glad you're okay and you're with us and you survived, right? And that feeling of safety that one has in their body and in their nervous system. And so if we continue on that example, what's happening today is we don't have just one lion, right? Like we got 60 lions at us or perceived threats at us at any point in time. Again, keyword perceived. So this is where, one person perceiving living paycheck to paycheck as actually just having freedom in their life. And it doesn't stress them out. It doesn't activate their stress response cycle. They don't see that as a threat. Whereas someone else needs that stability or whatever it may be. That difference in response is, again, the perception of that threat. So some people might see something as a lion and another person might see it as a nice little sweet cat, right? And so when your body is perceiving more than one threat or stressor at a time, we get to this state of overwhelm. And it's like, how do I could barely remember to complete one stress response cycle to make myself feel safe. Now you're expecting me. And again, this is all day, all week, all year, lifelong, right? Is, are my grades where I need them to be? Are my parents proud of me or happy with me? Is my boss happy with me? I got a flat tire on the way to work. I have a chronically ill family member or what am I going to do about the bills? You name it. We have these stressors. Does someone like me or not? And these perceived threats of like these worries and these concerns that we have are just so much. And it doesn't help. I don't think technology is a bad thing, but it doesn't help then that we also have so much thrown at us at any given time, right? And so we get into the state of overwhelm and panic. And then that's ultimately what's leading us to burnout is the way that I perceived or I understood the book and the concepts of, well, wait a second, I can maybe take care of myself and complete my stress response cycle. But when there's more than one, there's more than 10 at any given time, and my back's against the wall and there's so much going on in my life, how the heck am I going to deal? And so, that's the kind of gist of this here, is that the volume of stressors in today's society has just quadrupled, if not more, right? Increase exponentially. And it gets really easy to get overwhelmed and stuck in that freeze response. And so this is what is leading us to burnout. And ultimately what I learned from her books, and then also learning more and more about the nervous system and nervous system regulation, I highly recommend people look into it. It has changed my life. Is, you know, the solution is complete that stress response cycle. Get your body to safety, get your nervous system to tap back into parasympathetic nervous system, so that you can rest and digest and heal and live this one life that we're here to live, right? And so the 7 scientifically proven ways to complete that stress response cycle include physical activity or exertion. So this is get your body moving to get what's called the feels out. So one of the examples in the book about the gazelle that might be, you know, met by that lion in the wild is if that gazelle gets stuck in freeze and is playing dead, hopefully again, the lion goes and maybe gets its cubs and it has a moment to escape after that, or whatever it may be. The gazelle actually goes through almost like a tremor or seizure, or whatever you want to call it, to just shake out all of that buildup of that adrenaline, the cortisol, those chemicals that are really stuck in you at that point because you froze up and you weren't able to run it out or fight it out or whatever it is. So being able to physically exert yourself or move your body to get all of that kind of stress hormones, if you will, out helps. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't really feel like moving when I'm debilitatingly stressed out and I got, again, 10 things up against, or 10 lions that I'm up against. And so one of my personal go-tos is laughter. And this isn't just like ha laugh. This is deep belly, impolite. You are just rolling around, jaws hurt, tears down your face, laughter. For me personally, that's my Kevin Hart, my Joe Coy, and I have a folder on my like personal Chrome bookmarks and my work bookmarks and on my phone and everywhere, where I know the exact clips that are going to help me tap into that deep sense of laughter and joy, and you know, maybe the world isn't all doom and gloom and I can laugh a little bit about it and have that brevity or kind of lightheartedness to the world. So the next scientifically proven way to complete the stress response cycle is breathing, particularly slow, deep breaths with long exhalations. So for example, breathing in for maybe 4 counts and then breathing out for 8. It really helps your body tap into that parasympathetic nervous system to calm down. And there are plenty of experts, guys, like this. This is not an exhaustive list of exactly how to do it. There are plenty of people on YouTube, Instagram, all social media platforms that have entire courses around how to regulate your nervous system. The reason I'm talking about this is just the awareness of what my nervous system was, and the fact that it can be dysregulated and stuck in dysregulation, you know, blew my mind. Next, the awesome Gottman research that anyone in a relationship hopefully knows about. And the concept of affection that really allows your body to chemically relax, right? So Gottman has that research around the 20-second hug. This is with someone that you feel safe with. Again, your body is feeling out of whack and like it is not gonna survive, right? Like we are not messing around here. And so when you're engaging in this 20-second hug, these 2 people are standing on their own centers of gravity. You're not kind of leaning into each other or you know, on the couch or whatever it may be. You're standing and embracing for 20 seconds. It's nice if you can also breathe during that time, whatever it takes for your body to feel trust with another person. I know for me, sometimes in really tough work environments, it was my bestie at work where, you know, you message each other like, hey, I really need to complete my stress response cycle. And you meet each other wherever it is. And you take that 20-second hug to just be able to regulate your nervous system for a second. If you have a loved one in your life that you can kiss for 6 seconds, again, the chemical reaction of what's happening. And you can turn to Gottman's research, which is all qualitative research, which is pretty fun about their findings and their books and programs and all of that. Is this affection, again, is that hug and embrace, similar to that image of the village here, where you're safe, I got you, you're home, we're so happy you're here, I love you, I'm grateful that you're still alive, is essentially what your body is sensing when you're getting that affection from a loved one and or just someone that you feel safe and trust. The next one, I mean, it makes sense. A big old cry, right? You just got to let it out sometimes. Don't dwell on it. Don't wallow. Just let it all out. And I got to be honest with you, I had to do this last week where I tried a number of these. It just wasn't working. And I just had to call. I called 2 people. I didn't call one. I had to cry it out twice. It wasn't draining out. The feels weren't draining out. And I just had to wail it out to a certain extent to just let all of that emotion and the feels out. And so that's another one I turn to, because sometimes this is probably the hardest one. Physical activity and exertion is difficult for me sometimes. And so the next one is creative expression, which is pretty fun to read about, in the sense that, when you are creating in some way, you are emoting, you are expressing what is within you through whatever channel that may be. It might be drawing. I know for me, it's coloring books, right? I'm not the best drawer or painter, or if it's singing or dancing or poetry, whatever form of art it is that speaks to you and gets you to express yourself and your emotions in that way, is not a bad way to go ahead and get those feels out. And then positive social interaction. This is fun because it's all about, let's restore that faith in humanity. And I think the example in the book was, go to your local coffee shop or your grocery store, go buy a bottle of water, whatever it is, and just say, hey, I love your hair today, or let your barista know, I love your smile, and or your interaction is our interactions are always so positive. Whatever it is that gets you to connect with another person in the world, to again make you feel like you're safe. It's not all doom and gloom out here. We have safety there somewhere with someone. And so those 7 are the scientifically proven ones. And then she talks about this self-care piece as like, it's not scientifically proven, but when we take care of ourselves, I know when I either get a massage or if I get my eyebrows look good, I feel like a whole new woman, right? Like something is right in the world when that happens for me. And so, these are some of the ways that I've been able to kind of life hack it, if you will, and just allow myself to learn that it's going to be okay, right? Oops. It's going to be okay. And learning how my nervous system was stuck in this sense of dysregulation and why it was that way. And obviously there are a lot of tools and ways to get to that, whether it's therapy or meditation or yoga or whatever other outlets and tools that you have available to you. Learning to tap into and just be aware of your nervous system, it is something that changed my life entirely, because I just wasn't aware of it. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what the whole nervous system was, right? So fun stuff to learn about. There's so much more out there that you can research. There's just type in nervous system regulation and you'll find a ton of stuff on any social media platform out there. So hopefully this is helpful.